But if there is something that has been dominating the news for the past couple of weeks, it has to be that little blue bird known as Twitter. Wow. It went from Elon Musk is going to buy Twitter. We're super, super excited. Elon Musk brought a sink into Twitter's HQ. What in the world is happening here? And then it has just kind of exploded from there. We just have this situation where I think there are a lot of different forces at play. I think a lot of people can talk about like operationally what's happening under Musk with Twitter, people getting fired through emails, like weird, like there's a lot of operational and cultural things. Okay, that's the operational and cultural part. The thing that I've been tracking and that I think is the bigger challenge and the biggest challenge that they're facing right now is what has happened with advertisers. You're talking about a business where 80% of your revenue comes from advertising. And of that revenue, anywhere between 40 and 45%, upwards of 50% used to come from upfronts that were kind of contracts agreed upon before even the beginning of a calendar year that advertisers are saying, hey, listen, this is going to be my contract for the year. Right. And the minute the news broke about Elon Musk buying Twitter, the upfronts just started to decline. So even walking into the acquisition, you had a lot of brands saying, hey, we're going to hit pause until we find out what's going on. And what I'm hearing from brands and all of the marketers that I'm talking to, and even the agencies, there is a lot of hope for Twitter. No one wants to see Twitter fail. No one wants to see Elon Musk fail. That narrative of like, this is the activists coming for him is a bit more headline grabby than what's actually happening. There's a lot of concern. There's a lot of worry. And I think every time a rash decision is made to do things like to gauge employee success and to engage in developer success by how many lines of code you generated in the last year probably is not the way to plan for innovation. So things like that are getting people really worried. Things like
PayPal, right? So I mean, this is first software business since 20 years. So
and I think that there was an assumption that was made there, right? Of like, oh, I knew what to do at PayPal, so therefore I must know what to do here. Right. And for all the ways that Elon Musk is a brilliant person, he's just not really being brilliant at Twitter right now, and that's the big concern. So you're starting to hear, the advertisers are not getting appeased. You now have a very serious situation where all of the adults in the compliance and the content and the privacy and the identity and the moderation space, they have now all left, either because they were C-level employees and they got out very early from the vesting, or quite frankly, they do not feel that they are going to be able to do their jobs effectively. So you had kind of the steadying voices in the room as he's out there stirring chaos. They've now all left. Right before things like FTC reporting, right before a lot of quarterly reports are due. So this is a very, very, it's a contentious situation. It's a volatile situation, but it's not one any of us want to see, right?
But
so
the funny thing to me is, right, so, I mean, I think many people see it as a convenient way because they have to shrink their advertising budgets anyway. So there's a great excuse. We don't know where Twitter is going. We're going to take that away first. So I think that's kind of like self-serving, unfortunate timing for Musk for Twitter. I think that Twitter was overstaffed generally, right? So like looking at the features, the inconsistencies in the platforms. I mean, Android tablet is different code than Android phone. I understand the iOS thing has a different line, but and no functional creativity how to move this forward, make this better. So I think anybody coming in, and me speaking as a product development leader, you have to blow things up. If you have to blow them up to Musk level, very different question, right? And now back to marketing, right back to you. Either the marketing effectiveness of a Twitter ad is there, and then I'm not getting rid of it, or it wasn't there, and I was just spraying all over, and I can make without it, right? That's the rationale I understand. Because none of this coverage saying, well, how effective are Twitter ads compared to Facebook ads?
So the reality was, and I think that, so there are two things at play here, right? There were problems with Twitter and at Twitter long before Elon Musk even decided that he was going to buy Twitter. Right. He is not the problem of where we got to with Twitter. Right. And I think a lot of the things that you pointed out, the operations, kind of the lack of that rigor, it was this kind of idea of like, let's just throw a lot of things at the platform and see what works. Yeah. That did not work. And so advertisers have long been questioning Twitter investments because they weren't getting answers. They weren't getting answers as to reporting. They had a lot of problems with reporting and fraudulent reporting, quite frankly, leading up to this. So I think a lot of people were hopeful about where Musk could take things, but it doesn't help when you've posted things like, I hate advertising. on Twitter. It doesn't help when you're the person who says that you're going to lead everything and you're going to blow everything up and you hate advertising and you don't understand why anyone's complaining about things, because the number one thing that advertisers have been asking for are, what are you going to do about my ad being adjacent to content that I don't want my ad being next to? And the answer should never have been, that doesn't matter, right? Or, oh, we're doing stuff, right? People were asking real questions and advertisers were asking real questions and they weren't getting real answers.
Right.
I think that from the perspective of what has been happening as a business, I agree. There was a whole lot of bloat there. I mean, there was a lot of nonsense going on, but I think I think anyone who's run a business can probably look at the right way versus the wrong way to make some of these decisions.
Right.
But I'm hoping that he does the thing that makes all brilliant leaders, which is taking a step back and listening.
Yeah. So just interesting, right? Jack Dorsey, as the co-founder, right? He apologized a week ago that he grew the company too quickly. And this
he also has a vested interest in Twitter possibly failing. So let's also be very honest.
That's true, but he was also, for longest time, Twitter had no ads because Dorsey thought ads are the end of Twitter. And now it's like at least bringing in 5 billion or so in the
80%. 80% of the revenue, right? Yeah. You're like, come on.
So the thing I never got is like, look, you have this challenge of an in-feed advertisement, right? It's not the static banner. But just in the same town, there's this company used to be called Facebook, right? Which solved this, right? To the happiness of advertisers, right? So
but let's also be honest about that. Yeah. Their big challenge over there is accuracy of reporting and failing numbers, right? So numbers are falling. That number is falling. The algorithm isn't necessarily keeping up with where customers are going and where those brands are going. So you constantly got to innovate on that side, right? It's what you're always talking about. You constantly got to keep that up to date. You constantly got to be moving on it. Always. And neither of those platforms did it. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Like, are we still going to be on Twitter by December? Check back here.